we are going to be talking about some of the unshakable principles and unchanging truths in marketing and advertising. Today's topic, we're going to talk about conversion tracking. So today we're going to be primarily focused in on Google Ads. Now, conversion tracking is much wider than just Google Ads, because conversion tracking is how you track your performance in general. So it does reach outside of Google Ads, but today we're going to talk specifically about Google Ads. The number one thing we find when we audit an account in Google Ads is that the conversion tracking is broken or non-existent or just completely wrong. What do I mean by this? What we see is people tracking the wrong things as conversions or trying to grow their business on button clicks versus sales. And so a question that we ask ourselves, and I ask you to be thinking about for your business, is when you're looking at conversions, because you just don't know why you can't get more of them, or why your business isn't growing the way you want it to grow, why it's not scaling the way you want it to scale. You feel like you're throwing away thousands of dollars every month in Google Ads, but nothing's happening. Think about first, as far as your conversions are concerned, is what I'm tracking as a conversion bringing in new and specific actionable information about my user to my business? That would look like on a form submit. They're bringing in email, a name, a phone number, maybe even a message so you can judge intent. There's several things that you could go into that, but that's kind of the general idea of a conversion. So we're gonna go through these 3 specific steps on what you should check inside of your Google Ads account to make sure that you're tracking correctly. Number 1, if you're using an automated bid strategy inside of Google Ads, chances are you're going to be using a strategy that is guided by your conversions. When you are creating conversions and you're tracking conversions inside of Google Ads, this is what guides Google to your desired end goal. You say, Google, make me $1 million, and then you give it the data to get you there, right? It's a lot more complicated than that, but that's the idea, is that when you say you track a purchase and you tell it to make you $1 million, it'll get you there a lot faster than if you say, make me $1 million and only track a button click or a page view or something. Although that information is valuable, whether somebody hit maybe an add to cart button click, or maybe they hit a product page and you can remarket, and that's a whole nother conversation. But what we want to focus on is making sure that your primary conversions that you're tracking in Google Ads are things like form submits, purchases, something valuable to your company that brings in actionable information. So we're going to talk about the difference between secondary and primary conversions. Primary, this is just kind of a pro tip so you don't get taken by Google's recommendations that they set you up with. So when you set up a conversion, Google will automatically make it a primary conversion. You don't want every conversion to be a primary conversion. So a primary conversion really is the one that drives the ship, right? It's the one that Google optimizes from. It's the one that teaches Google what you want to get. Secondary conversion is maybe something that you want to know, but you don't want Google to try and go after. It's more so, if I'm trying to get form submits, I also want to know how many people, clicked on the form submit and didn't submit it. That is the idea between primary and secondary conversions. Another little pro tip is make sure you're not double counting conversions, in that you don't want to have maybe a Google Analytics conversion that you've imported as a primary conversion and then a Google Ads conversion that's primary conversion, because then you're getting skewed numbers, and that's clear why that's not a good idea. Number 2, make sure you're counting conversions in the best way. I mentioned Google Ads conversions, and Google Analytics, you can also track your conversions through Google Analytics, but it's just not the best way. So what we do as a standard operating procedure is that we have our analytics, our GA4 conversion imported into Google Ads, but as a secondary conversion like we talked about earlier. And then we have our Google Ads conversion tracking as a primary conversion, and we can compare the numbers and see what we're missing. So with Google Ads conversion tracking, we want to make sure that something called a click-through window is opened wide. Because if your click-through window is down at 3 days or 30 days, which I believe is the default, you're going to be missing out on the rest of that time. You can have a max 90, I think the minimum is 30, or the default is 30. There's very few reasons why you would have it on a low click-through window. But if you have that click-through window open, you have more time to see the entire customer journey. So thinking about something like a SaaS product that somebody might take more than 90 days to purchase, or maybe more than 30 days to purchase. If you don't have that click-through window open all the way to that 90-day period, you could miss out on conversions in Google Ads. Shout out to John Moran from Solutions 8 for this amazing illustration of a bell curve when talking about the click-through window. If you have a ton of sales on the front end, and then you have this kind of drop off right around the 60-day mark, but you only have your conversion window open to 60 days, and then let's say day 70, you get a ton of sales again. Well, if your click-through window is only set to 60 days, you just missed out on all these different sales, because in that between 60 and 90 days, maybe the customers that came in at the beginning but didn't buy were doing research and just took them a little bit longer to purchase. So we want to make sure that we're giving Google enough space to tell us as much of the story as they're willing to tell us with that 90-day window. Just make sure that all your conversion windows are open. There's a click-through conversion window. You can have that one at 90. Your engaged view conversion window, that's 30 days, and then a view-through conversion window, that's 30 days. And so having your windows at 90, 30, 30, that is the best way to get the most data possible. So moving on to tip number 3 that you guys can look at. If you have a CRM, or maybe you don't have a CRM, there's a way you can kind of make a makeshift one. We're gonna go a little bit more sophisticated with something called offline conversions. So offline conversions is, let's say you're a lead generation company and you bring in 30 leads. Well, what happens after the lead comes in? What if that lead, ends up buying over the phone or whatever? You have to track that lead back into some sort of monetary value. Otherwise, there's not much way that you can prove performance. So if you have a CRM, HubSpot, Salesforce, they're both really good about integrating with Google Ads, but let's say you have something that's kind of older or doesn't integrate with Google Ads very well. What you can do is use something like Gravity Forms. That's what we use, or whatever form that you're using. You can use this tool called Zapier and connect it into a spreadsheet. You can capture the click ID through some GTM coding and Google Tag Manager, and just send it into a spreadsheet. And then you'll have the click ID, you'll have the name, you'll have all the different stuff that you need to upload that conversion with a monetary value into Google Ads. And so that's a really good way to, if you're selling, maybe past the 90 days. Let's say you can get a lead in that 90 days, but you don't get the sale in that 90 days. We can go back and track this lead, brought in $10,000 at this time. Then we can import that back into Google Ads, and it'll be able to kind of show you where performance is happening. So there's a lot more you can get in with offline conversions tracking, but it is a method of conversion tracking to try and link monetary value to your leads. Like I said, there's a lot more that you can go into that, but I will not do that today. like I said, some tools you can look at for that if you don't have something like HubSpot or Salesforce. Just download Zapier, get a Zapier account, and it'll integrate almost any tools together, and it'll make it work together on a logic basis. So you can make a makeshift CRM just using Zapier. So in summary, we're gonna go over just what was said so that you can go and immediately look at these things. Identify your true conversions, what's bringing in value to your business. Make sure that you're giving yourself the best data to work with, and through Google Ads conversion tracking, use that 90-day click-through window at least, and track your conversions past the initial conversion. Make sure that they're actually qualified, make sure that they're actually selling. If you're somebody trying to get into marketing right now, please, please, please pay attention to what happens past the initial conversion. So that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, comments, fears, hopes, ambitions, whatever you want to give us back as feedback. If you disagree with anything that we said, please leave it in the comments. Like and subscribe if you have had any level of value from this video, and we hope to see you soon.